woken up in the middle of the night and that there was a man snoring in the bed next to her. And of course, she's a single woman and she's like, I don't know who this is. And so she crawled out of bed and she crawled out of the room and so she called the police and the police came.
Well, hello, folks. This is exciting. Eva Marie and I periodically have done Southern Mamas Be Like, and we thought we would focus in on these authors that we love.
We did.
Have to be us.
We've been also today, we've been talking to other authors as well. Southern Mamas, of course. Yes.
That's right. But Eva Marie, ever since I met you at Blue Ridge, it's like, oh, this is an amazing human being who has the most incredible imagination and mind. And I love this because I've been watching this fabulous book, Miss Beth Bettencourt.
Yes.
Would you please tell me how you came up with that?
40 years ago, before I was ever a writer. I mean, I was writing, but before I was a professional writer, I read a Dear Abby, and I'm almost positive it was Dear Abby. It could have been Ann Landers, but I'm 99.9% positive that it was a Dear Abby letter. And this woman just wrote into Dear Abby and said that she had woken up in the middle of the night and that there was a man snoring in the bed next to her. And of course, she's a single woman and she's like, I don't know who this is. And so she crawled out of bed and she crawled out of the room. And, back then your phone was basically attached to a cord somewhere. It's not like you had a cell phone anywhere or at all. And so she called the police and the police came. And as it turned out, he had been at a party earlier that evening and had too much to drink. And so there was a gal there at the party who said, well, I just live 3 houses down on the right. Just go in the back door. It's unlocked and climb in the bed and get some sleep. Right. Well, he went 3 houses down to the left. And back in those days, it was a small Southern town. They did not lock their doors. You remember those days. And I just thought, if I was a romance writer, that would make a great story. Although I would probably change it up a little bit. I might not have him too drunk to drive, and that he met the wrong, he met a girl at a party or anything like that. But I used it as the genesis of this story that literally just kept growing and growing inside of me for the next 38 years. Oh, wow. And then one day I just sat down and started writing.
Well, I love the book cover, and I'm going to show it. And of course, it's set in, and I'll talk about that later, 1962, right? Mm-hmm. But the cover of the book is so spectacular. Why did you set it back in 62?
Well, I knew that I wanted it to be before cell phones. I wanted it to be like it was when I read this Dear Abby. I wanted the times to be simpler. And I kind of guesstimated then that it, was probably back in the 80s, maybe late 80s when I read this. And I thought, no, not the greatest era. sorry to the 80s. But then I didn't, the 70s, we were dealing with war and things like that. And even in the late 60s, things were not there was a lot of unrest in the world. I didn't want whatever was going on in the world to mess up this story. And so initially I thought, well, I'm going to set it right before the holidays in 1963. And then I remembered what happened on November 22nd, 1963. And I thought, well, no, maybe not. So I just shot it back 1 year. And what I discovered as I was researching 1962, there was a lot going on, but it added to the elements of this story because the young man has just gotten out of the army. And of course, there was the rumblings of what was going on in Southeast Asia, but it added an element to the story that I had not planned on. So as I kept digging into 1962, I thought, this is the perfect year. And the clothes. Women
Oh,
still were
God.
ladies. Yeah. Yeah. Just everything.
I tell you what, I want everybody to go to your Facebook page and see the fashion. Oh my goodness, this
Yeah.
in your story. That is well, what about
I'm
Bynum,
having a good
Georgia?
time with that, just because once you start looking up stuff, then
Yeah.
you are bombarded by that kind of stuff.
Oh my
And I had,
God.
and also I was able to create a playlist, which there'll be a QR code in the back of the book, but you can go to my website and go to my blog and go right to the playlist. So I have the TV shows that are mentioned, I have the songs that are mentioned. You can go into Miss Beth's closet and you can look at the cars that are being driven and things like that that I'm mentioning in the book.
Oh, I love that idea. So you've expanded that on a page on your website. You can click, takes
Hmm.
you to another page, and you can see the fashion. And
Hmm.
then
Yeah, you can see. Yeah, there's so much there. I had so much fun with that.
so Bynum, Georgia.
Bynum. Hmm.
Bynum.
Bynum.
That's
Well,
a really
Bynum actually was introduced for the first time in the book that I wrote in 2017. It came out in 2017, called The One True Love of Alice Ann, and it came out with Tyndale
oh, I love
Publishers.
that.
Yeah, and so what I knew I wanted it to be my hometown, which is Sylvania, Georgia, but I didn't necessarily want to call it Sylvania because I didn't want anyone to say, "Well, was that mimicked after me? Was that character mimicked?" Because no characters were mimicked after anybody. They're just in my head. And so I thought, well, what am I going to call it? Well, my oldest daughter, her last name is Bynum. That's her married name, and I thought, what a great name for a small southern town, Bynum. So
Bynum.
Bynum became the town that The One True Love of Alice Ann was set in. And then I just made a decision that I was going to go back to Bynum because this is the hometown that I grew up in. This is the town I know. The especially 1962. I was alive and well in 1962, so I
Yeah.
remember a lot about just being in a small southern town in 1962. So I went back to Bynum and have since I'm now on the third book, um, consecutive book. So we're actually the fourth book set in Bynum.
Oh gosh. So how about Marty?
Oh, Marty. Marty is he is truly a wonderful character. He is a young man who has come through some of the worst hardships in life, but he is carrying a secret. So the question is Marty who he says he is? For Beth, she has been so wounded in her life that at 28 years of age, and 1962, if you're 28 and you're unmarried,
Yes.
you're a spinster. you,
That's
you,
right.
you are doomed, right? But
There's no website to go put your name up on and meet up.
no, there was nothing, I mean, and
Go to church.
everybody that everybody that you grew up with, they're already married. So
Right.
there's unless somebody new comes to town. But Beth has been so wounded that she doesn't want a relationship with a man. She is happy as a single woman living with her parents. She's got a little kindergarten, and her comment to herself is, if she'll never have children of her own, at least she can help raise everybody else's children.
Wow.
And she really relishes that. But Molly, who is the maid that has raised her and is truly her best friend, Molly wants her to find somebody and get married, but she's not real sure about the stranger that just came to town. Where Marty comes in, though, he is carrying this secret. And is he really who he says he is? Because if he's not, then this is going to totally destroy Beth.
Oh my goodness. Oh wow, Eva Marie, that's good. So what would the theme be?
It's definitely forgiveness. Marty, like I said, Marty has had a tremendous amount of hardship in life. And if
Mhm.
anyone has a reason to be angry and to be unforgiving, it's Marty. But while
Mhm.
Marty is in the army, he meets the Lord. And that changes everything for him. He has learned to drop all that anger and bitterness at the footstool of God. and
Oh,
just step away from it. And that old saying about unforgiveness is the poison you pour for someone else but drink
yeah.
yourself. Now, I don't think I use that line in the book, but he has a keen understanding of that, where Beth is harboring deep bitterness and resentment against her identical twin sister who has recently passed away.
Oh
And
my.
there's no chance to offer like apologies and forget. There's no chance to give that forgiveness. But her sister, through her husband, is attempting to ask for forgiveness. That one last request, please, make this right between me and Beth. And she is just like not having anything to do with it.
Oh
So
my.
Marty has got to break that down. And I hope what readers will see is that when we allow ourselves to let go of the
Yeah.
things that people have done to hurt us, we are the ones that are then freed from it.
Oh my gosh, I love this. I know it's going to be a huge success
I
because
hope
everything
so.
you do is successful. Everything.
No,
Everything
not
you
everything, but some things. All right. Well,
want. Okay,
thank you,
sure.
everyone. And from myself and from Jane, thank you so much. And we'll see you between the pages.
Absolutely. What a great way to end.